Get ready for it, kids. There's pirates in this one. You're listening to Dad Does Books. I'm a dad, and I'm here to read you some books that I really like. Not like a teacher, not like someone on TV, like a dad. So kids, everyone, settle back and let me tell you a story. Alright, this is one of my favorite stories of all time. This isn't the version by Robert Louis Stevenson. This is a shorter version, and I think I found this at a dollar store. It's published by Phidal Publishing, so without further ado, allow me to present to you Treasure Island. A long, long time ago, a boy named Jim Hawkins lived and worked at an inn by the sea. The guests at the inn were often sailors passing through, who told all kinds of wild stories. Jim had always longed to set sail and have his own adventures at sea. One day, an old man came to the inn. He said his name was Captain Billy Bones, and he needed a room for just one night. When he saw Jim, he gave the boy a few extra pennies to look out for a one-legged man. I guess a few extra pennies was a lot of money back then. Seems like kind of a cheap tip now. Late that night, Captain Bones called to Jim. When Jim came to his bedside, he pulled out a map. "Do you know what this is, sonny boy?" croaked the old captain. "It's a treasure map. I've kept it secret for years, and now it's yours." Captain Bones thrust the map into Jim's hands and told him to leave. The next morning, Captain Billy Bones was gone. Jim had no way to follow this mysterious treasure map on his own. He'd probably need a boat. So he went to Squire Trelawney for help. Squire Trelawney brought it to Dr. Livesey, and the three of them decided they should follow the map and find the treasure. That's what I would do. Is that what you would do if you had a treasure map? I would definitely follow it and find the treasure, because even if you didn't find the treasure, you'd probably have a pretty good adventure looking for the treasure, which in itself could be like a treasure. Well, let's just see what they did next. To help them get a crew, Trelawney hired a cook named Long John Silver, who had once been a sailor. "I'll find ye the best crew that money can buy," promised Long John Silver. I hope he pays more than minimum wage for the best crew money can buy. When Jim met Long John Silver, he was surprised to see that Long John Silver had a talking parrot and only one leg. Just like the man Captain Billy Bones had warned him to look out for. Well, Jim decided to keep an eye on Long John throughout their voyage. Before long, they were ready to set sail. Long John Silver had found a crew, and Trelawney had bought a boat and hired a captain. The boat was called the Hispaniola, and its new captain was Captain Smollett. Jim was finally off on his very own adventure. I'm excited. A few weeks into their voyage, because voyages took a lot longer back then. Now you could probably get to wherever they were going in a few hours on an airplane, but back then you had to sail, so things were slow. So a few weeks into their voyage, Jim was below deck when he heard some of the crew talking. He decided to hide in a barrel and listen. "Arr, once we reach the island, we'll take this boat from these landlubbers and steal the treasure for ourselves," cried a familiar voice. Jim realized the voice belonged to Long John Silver, and that the crew weren't sailors, they were pirates. The pirates all began to laugh and cheer at Long John Silver's plan. Jim waited a long time for the pirates to go away before he climbed out of the barrel and ran to find Captain Smollett, Trelawney, and Dr. Livesey. He told them all about what he had heard. "Well, now we have the element of surprise," said Captain Smollett wisely. "There are many of them and only 4 of us. We shall wait and see what they do." Well, waiting and seeing what they do doesn't really sound like you're using surprise, but I'm sure he's got a good plan. He is the captain. Who am I to question the captain? And before long, the island marked on the mysterious map was in sight. "Land ho!" cried Jim. Sorry, Jim's still a small boy. "Land ho!" cried Jim. Yeah, that's more like it. "Me and some mateys will take a boat to shore," said Long John Silver to the captain. Not wanting to make the pirates suspicious, Captain Smollett agreed, as long as they took Jim with them. Jim could be a good lookout. And don't forget, Long John, he doesn't know that Jim knows they're pirates. So, this could get interesting. Well, at this point, it sounds like Jim's having a really good adventure. They haven't found any treasure yet. They've just gotten to the island, but he's been sailing on a boat for weeks, and he's crossed a big ocean, and he's met a bunch of interesting people, and he's probably done a bunch of things he's never done before. Certainly more interesting than working at the inn. That was what he was doing when we started this story. Seems like he's developing into a real interesting character. So, let's see what's happening with him. Back to the story. Jim and the pirates rowed the boat to the island. They all clambered to the beach and began to explore. As Jim wandered away from the pirates, he heard a strange song. He followed the sound and discovered a man sitting by himself. "Oh, fishy fish, fish," sang the strange man. Jim carefully approached the old man. Jim learned that the man was named Ben, and he had been alone on the island for years. Ben was happy to help Jim, because it had been a really long time since he'd seen anyone, and Jim was pretty polite, so, they got along really well. Ben led Jim through the jungle. Ben knew the whole island by heart. Clearly, he had spent a lot of time looking around. They began to hear a lot of shouting, so Ben showed Jim some rocks they could hide behind to spy on. "The old fort," whispered Ben. Trelawney, Captain Smollett, and Dr. Livesey were hiding in the old fort. They had the treasure map and weren't letting the pirates have it. Oh no. "Get out of here, you pirates. Oh no, look, it's their parrot." Jim looked up and saw Long John Silver's talking parrot flying out of the fort. He had the treasure map in his claws. Oh no. When he landed, the pirates took the map and ran off into the forest, shouting and singing, "Yar, yar, yar, yar." Oh man, that's not good. It's not right to take things that aren't yours, and it's really not right to use a parrot to do it too. That's just mean. Now, once they were sure the pirates were long gone, Jim and Ben snuck inside the fort. Trelawney, Dr. Livesey, and Captain Smollett were arguing about what to do now that the pirates were on their way to the treasure. "Oh, you mean the trunk of gold and glistening jewels?" said Ben. "Why, I moved that thing a long time ago." "Oh, that's a good coincidence." Meanwhile, the pirates were following the treasure map they had stolen. "Yo-ho, it's a pirate's life for me," they sang as they reached the beach. "X marks the spot. Start digging, mateys," cried Long John Silver. The pirates dug and they dug. Hours passed. Nothing. Where could that treasure be, wondered Long John Silver. The pirates weren't very happy about digging all day in the hot sun either. As the pirates dug on the beach, Ben led Jim and his friends deep into the heart of the island, where the treasure was really hidden. They ran as quickly and as quietly as they could. They didn't want any pirates to follow behind. Finally, they reached a clearing where Ben pulled back some leaves to reveal the treasure chest. It was full to the brim with shiny gold coins, jewels, pearls, emeralds, diamonds. Wow. Ben agreed to split it with them if they took him back on their ship. I think he just wanted off the island and would probably pay any price to go home. He was probably very homesick. Have you ever been on a long trip and you just wanted to go home? I sure have. So as Jim and his friends carried the heavy treasure back to the ship, they heard yelling in the trees. Oh no! Suddenly the pirates appeared. They had spotted the treasure chest and were now running towards the beach, waving their pointed swords in the air. Yar! Oh, I don't trust these guys at all. When he saw the pirates, Jim rushed forward to protect his friends. In his hurry, he tripped over a rock and landed in front of the crowd of angry pirates who closed in on him. "Yar! Jim is a good lad," cried Long John Silver, stepping in between the pirates and Jim. "Ye shan't hurt him." The one-legged pirate had saved Jim. Wow, didn't see that coming. Together, they backed away from the pirates. I wonder if Long John Silver is serving his own interests here. Did you notice he's got a really, really red nose? He must be out in the sun too much without sunblock. But for saving Jim, the rest of the crew let Long John Silver join them on the only boat back to the Hispaniola, along with the treasure chest. So off they rode, leaving the pirates behind. Because as we know, pirates, although cool, were not very nice people, and you probably don't want to be around them. In fact, I'm pretty sure you don't want to be anywhere near a pirate. But back on board the ship, Captain Smollett, Trelawney, Dr. Livesey, Ben, Jim, and Long John Silver looked at their new treasure. There was enough gold in the chest to make them all rich for the rest of their days. And that's the end. If you'd like more information on this book, including where to buy a copy, make sure to check the description for details. While you're there, hit subscribe, and when a new story comes out, you'll be the first to know it. Until then, happy trails.